Hello there, Josh here. This video is going to look at horse race base, or quick dive in horse race base anyway, with a look at a trainer to follow this December, hopefully. The monthly trainers have been so this year, annoyingly, when they had quite a good start last year. Nigel Twiston-Davies, for the first time in probably 4, 5, 6 years, had his string a bit further, well, not as far forward as he has done before, which was a bit annoying. But I suppose after a few years of consistency, he was due one of those. And what else do we have? Emma Lavelle, bit so, although quite a few placed horses and a few agonising defeats at nice odds. I suppose with both Lavelle and Nigel Twiston-Davies, their in-form figures were never great, and they always had the odd question over them at this time of year. And that's a kind of general point, I suppose, to touch on with any kind of, well, any stats-based approach, certainly that's trainer-based, but certainly these monthly trainers is taking a view or looking at whether the yards are actually in decent form at this time of year. And obviously yards can come in and go out of form fairly quickly also. The idea always with these monthly trainers, while the hope is that for small stakes they will work systematically over a season, especially to Betfair starting price, and I'm confident they will do again, is obviously to provide some kind of useful weigh in or some more kind of substance or information that you can ponder, use, ignore, or do whatever you please with. I am trying to research angles increasingly without odds caps, so we don't have to faff around in the morning working out whether a horse qualifies or not on those kind of rules, especially this season with no bookmakers at the course, or not many, one or two for owners, not many crowds, though obviously some are going to return, and what impacts that may have had, the lack of a betting ring on starting prices and everything else. So I suppose this video, which I will keep under 20 minutes, I'll try desperately hard to do so, is for those of you who have horse race base, which I know is quite a few of you, or have any interest in researching or maybe pondering how I think. Maybe I'm going to jump straight to, as I tick round to 3 minutes, I'm going to focus on this very simple angle this year and highlight any qualifiers, and we can see if Henry DeBromhead can have another 450 odd to 1 Betfair starting price. I'll show you in a minute. Maiden hurdle winner. So these are the stats you can see here. None of these horses have won in their career before. They're maiden hurdlers. They're at the start really of their career. This kind of angle can be a positive and a negative for us, in the sense that we are relying on the quality of the trainer. And we've got Henry DeBromhead, who's well, he is one of the top Irish trainers, I suppose, on numbers and results. He must be third in behind Willie Mullins and Gordon Elliott. He tends to focus on quality over quantity, I would say, although is getting more support as better owners, bigger owners. He's clearly a very good trainer. And he's also one who doesn't seem to be that interested at this stage anyway, in terms of getting horses handicapped, what you could call legitimate handicapping, within maiden hurdles, running them over too short a trip, the wrong ground, or they're mentally immature, they're not fully fit, very much used as an educational purpose before miraculously stepping forward, maybe after a little break or refresher, when upped in trip, different ground, into a handicap hurdle with a handicap mark, which may underestimate their true ability, which, having grown or strengthened or mentally matured, will be even better than they've shown previously. And also, of course, running in more suitable conditions. That's the handicapping game we have, and spotting them, etc., is part of it. But here we have a trainer who seems to like, well, he has quality individuals and he likes to get wins out of them in maiden hurdles, and we'll be hoping maybe that some of these are going to turn into festival novices and possibly chasers of the future, which I always think of DeBromhead as kind of further down the line being chasers of the future. So maybe some of these maiden hurdlers have stamina deep within them, and that helps them at this stage of their career. Who knows? I think there's some logic for why DeBromhead could do well with maiden hurdlers and in December, which I'll get onto in a moment. Maybe if I just look at this now, you can, you've got Henry de Bromhead's a decent trainer. Overall, there is stats for kind of all maiden hurdlers since the start of 2015. So we're looking at 5 full years. And well, I could add in 2020, but because I'm looking at December, or will be. Obviously, December is, I'm recording this on the 1st. If I break down by month, so you've got that starting set, you've got that. This time I've got some logic, I suppose. I'll show you how we got here with my research, but like I said, there's that logic of the quality of the trainer, the quality of the owners he gets, and the quality of the horse, so that you've got the basis of the raw material and a trainer who seems to want to work out how good they are or get wins into them, kind of as soon as possible, or relatively so, with these maiden hurdlers. And of course, that isn't always the case. Like I said, some trainers' MO mainly linked to possibly the quality of the horse they get, which is linked to the owners and how deep their pockets are that they can attract and keep. Some will obviously be playing the maiden novice hurdle game in order to get marks, and then to get wins in handicaps, because that's the only hope their horses may have of getting wins on the board. You always need to look at time of year, trying to work out whether there's any logic. So this is De Bromhead's kind of maiden hurdlers throughout the whole year. You'll see when I kind of dig in, plenty of them are kind of winning, having had 1 or 2 starts this season. So they may have run some of these, or will have done, and not kind of won in some of these figures here in October, November. So very much getting a run or two in them to build up fitness and confidence and experience. The numbers, the sheer volume, to my eyes anyway, would suggest this is a clear kind of MO of his, to get them out and generally fit and firing in December with the highest win strike rate there is. Maybe waiting for the ground to be properly soft and properly safe. That's a possibility as well. But also, that's given him given him plenty of time from when they may have come in August or July. Some may have even come in back off their summer holidays in September, or have been sent to him. That's given him enough time to work them out and get them to a state, both physically and mentally, where they can do some damage on the racetrack. Of course, when you're dealing with maiden hurdlers, which wouldn't be an area I'd normally focus on. I'd normally focus on kind of handicappers. So we're going to try something a bit different for this December. There obviously isn't much form to go on, and because there's not much form to go on, it can mean they get sent off at silly prices, and when they've needed the run as well in the October or November, it could be very much a case also that they've ran well to a point and then tailed off, and they're just overlooked, with many eyes drawn in to the Elliott or Willie Mullins hot pot that may be in said race. You've got May as well. That there's logic there. That kind of the more summer horse might be coming out then, or horses that have taken a lot more time, but horses he may think actually need better ground, and they may get a run on better ground before going away for the summer to strengthen up or whatever, or he's waited with them to kind of run them in maiden hurdles in May, and they might end up in handicaps or other races, other festivals, or whatever, in late summer. So that's a possibility. So there's some logic there for why I can think May and June makes sense. That's a different type of horse, different ground. And like I've said before, with these types of videos and angles, you always want to be trying to think of what the logic is for why something is happening, because without logic, we lack even more faith than we sometimes can do that the angle is going to repeat itself moving forward, especially when you're trying to get yourself into the mind and the thinking of the trainer or what they're going on. So I've touched on with this type of angle about the yeah, the raw quality and material of the horse. And it really is this simple. I mean, the other things you want to do is you want to make sure the stats are not kind of swayed by some big prices, as in those near the top of the market are still profitable. And I'll show you in a minute. The other thing I want to focus on just here, some of you will be looking at this thinking, oh, that win percentage isn't very high. We're dealing with maiden hurdles, we're dealing with no odds caps, which I suppose makes me edge down those my demands on win strike rate to a point. But what caught my eye with Henry DeBromhead, he runs kind of two or three horses in quite a few races, and he's 21 wins from just 80 races, and that race win strike rate of 26% isn't too bad. 89% above market expectations at Betfair starting price. If I just look at some of the qualifiers, and I mean we can go down here to the start of 2015. You can focus on some of those that have placed, of course, you know, a fair few seconds at decent odds, thirds at 16s, you know, 8-1 winner. You know, you get some big priced winners. I mean, it would be great if we had another Ellie Mack. You know, Boxing Day 2017, 50-1 starting price, nearly 500-1 Betfair starting price. Of course, we want to strip that out to a point, but there's some big, you know, some seconds and thirds at big odds, which is exciting. And hopefully, this angle may give us some fun for kind of £2, £2.50 at Betfair starting price, for example. And if the wheels do come off and he suddenly changes MO or hasn't for some reason been able to restock with quality over the summer just gone or the back end of last year, it can only get so bad. But there's a possibility. I mean, again, 25-1 winner SP, 65 Betfair. Some of these go off unfancied. It could be also he doesn't have many kind of big betting owners in the yard. And like I said, these horses, because of their types of profile, the lack of form in the book, there's not much to go on. Those of you listening to this who may like breeding and size and angles, or may want to look back to see if the horse has point to point form. Of course, that gives you options for this type of angle as a way in and a starting point. But again, you know, another 25-1 winner, 68 Betfair starting price, 53 Betfair starting price, Captain Guinness. That was last year, 2019. Then, you know, some big maiden hurdle fields. I suspect because they have bigger fields in maiden hurdles in Ireland generally than we do. Maybe that more sustained pace where it puts pressure, or possible sustained pace puts pressure on stamina, maturity, being ready, fitness. And the Bromhead seems to have quality animals that probably stay very well, and he's hoping will develop into chasers in time. That might be, I think there's possibly some logic there. And of course, there will be lots of dross in plenty of these races. I mean that respectfully, but plenty of horses who may be 80 to 100, 80 to 120 handicappers in time, and not may not be fully tuned at all for maiden hurdles such as this. So we can see the stats. They've progressively got better in terms of numbers and the winners to those. You know, we're not dealing with big numbers, which I don't mind because, like I said, it's the risk versus reward. And if there's kind of, you know, if he has 25 runners this year and somehow this December and they all lose to £2 bets, while it won't be much fun, it could always be a lot worse, I suppose. But the glory, if yeah, I mean, if he could repeat the average, I mean, 50 points Betfair starting price to £2, £2.50 bets for December wouldn't be too bad, would it? But he seems to be getting more horses while still focusing on quality over quantity, I think. But it does seem to be, you know, there's lots of consistency in the last 3 years, especially on play strike rate. The race win percentage there, you can see we're actually averaging nearer or probably above 30%, aren't we? Or around 30% the last 3 years of races won. It does seem like it's a possible, yeah, that's his kind of MO and what he wants to be doing this December. What did I want to say? I'd go back to what I said about odds. You kind of want to check, like we've said, there's some big price winners. So we don't want to be overthinking this angle or, you know, making, I mean, there's not going to be much form to go on for some of them. Whether or not you want to look at some of them and think, I may have more confidence, or you just want to back those which look like they're a big price in the kind of, no, done that wrong. If I just, sorry, back to odds here, so you can, dig, look, do all these different things. If I went to 8 to 1 or bigger starting price, that's a fairly decent win percentage and this race percentage for the odds we're looking at there. You can see the performance above market expectations. You're not, we're hoping for 2 or 3 winners in that range. That's what we're aiming for, which of course is a small number, and they may not happen this year. Hopefully, you might keep up this habit in future seasons, and in future Decembers we may do quite well. But there's some excitement about this angle. I hope you'll find we're going into this thinking, my word, is there going to be a monster price winner this December or even two? Obviously, having built that up, he probably won't now, but we can live in hope because he will have quality horses, and there won't have the market won't have much to go on, which makes it exciting when the flag goes up. Looking at those more fancied 8 to 1 or shorter, decent stats, nearly 30% win strike rate, still 51% above market expectations to Betfair starting price. So those stats there, especially well since 2015, but the last 2 years for the shorter priced ones, solid. So it's not just an angle that relies on the odd biggie flying in. I'm not sure if DeBromhead is much of a gambler or a betting trainer, backing trainer. I've got no idea. Looking at some of the prices these maiden hurdlers go off, it could be they even surprise connections. Of course, you can look at various different things. I did look at horse runs this season. This goes back to those views on October and November. In the sense, your three, those that have yet to run this season are 3 from 29 8 places. Whether or not you want to take not a dim view to those necessarily, but you can see the profit loss because they've had a break and there's even more guesswork for the punting masses over fitness. That could have the odd biggie flying in. So I didn't want to exclude them, even though it's kind of a 10% win strike rate, but a small enough sample, I suppose. Those that have had 1, 2, 3 runs this season, they'd have run in October or November. Prepping them for December, getting them fit, and he's running them because he wants them to perform. So that's interesting. Of course, we're looking at maiden hurdles, so they've all there's no multiple winners here on this occasion. Of course, there are some who have done, etc. But yeah, sorry, no. So I mean, that's the good thing with this angle is you're very much looking at the quality of the horse, and it's 21 different separate individual winners. So we are relying on DeBromhead having restocked and got some quality animals in, and therefore keeping with the same approach of targeting maiden hurdles. But these seem to be rather exciting. You can look at by jockey. Like I said, he wins quite a few races with more than one horse in the field, and they're not all ridden by Rachel Blackmore, though I suppose she's probably come onto the scene more with DeBromhead this season than last season. But lots of wins for other jockeys, and he'll have other youngsters coming through and claiming jockeys and everything else. So certainly no reason to be put off there. This is a very simple angle. I think there's plenty of logic. We're not dealing with very many qualifiers over the months. You're kind of averaging less than one a day, and we're just going to be living in hope that some monster is going to fall in at Betfair starting price. That's how I would back them, I think, given the stats I've showed you, and that makes this angle exciting. Whether or not it's repeated, whether or not he can bang in 2 or 3 very good price winners for us, we shall see. But I will post qualifiers in the daily members posts, and we can see how they get on. I'm ticking around to 18 minutes. What I could do is, I'm just trying to think as I ponder, is there anything else I wanted to kind of dig by or focused on? I've talked about logic, the foundations. I think it all makes sense. Yeah, of course, none of them have. What else could I dig through? There's only, the majority haven't won in their career. They're running in maiden hurdles. There's a handful have. I assume they'll. There's a handful have, as you can see there. So yes, so there's lots of hope and expectation with this angle, especially given the Betfair starting price. But I don't want to overcomplicate it. I don't need to dig or try and get rid of losers, especially at the odds we're playing at here. We will just keep fingers crossed that Henry does what he does the previous 3 Decembers, and he's got some good raw material and maiden hurdlers that are there to run their race and to see how good they are, which is quite exciting. I can dig over, jump over here. This is just for anyone that may want to jot a few things down of those with horse race base. I suppose you might want to dig further. How I would go about these angles, you can obviously no, National Hunt December. You can break down by trainer, and some of you may want to dig, and you might find something else. You can sort by, you're breaking down. You can sort by any number of different categories here. And so I think that video just jumped. Hopefully you can still hear me, but yeah, any number of categories here. And you can sort by trainer win to low as I tick around the 20 minutes. I'm looking at profit loss to SP to kind of dig into, I suppose. Lots of trainers have lots of runners this time of year. Like I said, you want logic. I did look at Hobbs. I think we had an angle possibly for him last December, but I've got him covered in an angle in jumps profiles, and I have dug again but haven't found too much. You can see Henry DeBromhead is the next or possibly the most profitable. You could sort, there's various different trainers you might want to dig there. That you can see and pause the video if you wanted. I'm ticking around my 20 minutes, but there we go. Wins, you can sort by profit loss, SP, high to low. Obviously, you might want to then support by number of runners, etc. But you can see Henry DeBromhead in terms of the winners against all runners in December. So there's some decent foundation there in which to build. You can see other trainers here you might want to pause on, reflect on. You can dig into them. You want to make sure, like I said, there's some logic for why December might stand out. You then might want to dig through, let's say, number of runs this season, and are they doing well with horses having their second or third start of this jump season that may not have placed as yet, as an example. That's the kind of thing you could look at. You want some logic, like I said, for hope the angle might repeat, and ideally, at least with DeBromhead, there's various different things. So there are different ways in that you can, you could spend a day or more digging into various different angles here and trying to work out if trainers are targeting this time of month deliberately. You can use the dig function, so you can take that base set of data there. You can, National Hunt runners in December, you can dig by these boxes here, so just sort what I'm about to click. You can dig by race type and trainer, and this is how I kind of first came alerted to DeBromhead before trying to think about some logic, and then digging further, but realizing actually keeping the angle simple was the way to do it. You can see why DeBromhead maiden hurdlers, those stats coming out here. This is sorted by wins, high to low. Gordon Elliott maiden hurdlers, but you can't get rich backing those. Same with Hendo, so on and so forth. So DeBromhead's maiden hurdlers, and then you can click, if you've got horse race base, to this right hand side here. You can click run on any kind of dig. You can dig 2 or 3 factors together, and then you can press run down here, and they'll appear here as that angle, and then you can dig, break down, do what you want. But I think there's enough logic here. As always with any trainer angle, you're kind of dealing with small enough numbers, which again is why you want some kind of foundation logic, which I think with DeBromhead we've got, as previously explained. And yeah, we shall see if to small stakes the Betfair starting price, or no stakes at all, you may not want to follow it, or you might want to pick and choose. We shall see to small stakes Betfair SP if he can land on 1 or 2 monsters and a few others near the top of the market. And if he could repeat any of these years, I'd take 2018, 89 points. Betfair starting price, I'd take that right now. Give me that right now. We shall see if it does that. But his yard's getting stronger, slightly bigger, but still a focus on quality. Some big owners in the yards. Of course, he's got the skills of Rachel Blackmore and some other very good jockeys to call on. And this looks like a plan to get some of these maiden hurdlers winning in December, having had a run or two. Quality horses, no doubt, but he wants to see how good they are, and he wants them to win ASAP before then working out what to do with them. So yes, with that said, the final thing I could focus on, actually, I suppose, is the each way bit. You could look at these are any odds, minimum runners of 5. You can see there just 1 point each way is 161 points SP profit. That's against just backing 1 point win, 130 points SP profit. Of course, the return on investment is lower because this is to 1 point win, 1 point play, so 1 point each way. You could, change this to odds above 5-1 SP, minimum number of runners 5. 63 each way qualifiers, 8 winners. The odds we're dealing with 18 places, 28, 29% each way strike rate isn't bad. Again, 142 points to SP. That's up to you how you do that, I suppose. I'm going to I will do kind of small stakes to Betfair starting price, a bit of fun, separate little bank. The worst case scenario is going to be hopefully a 0 from 20, 0 from 25. But based on everything we know about these stats, the yard, the jockey has got, the owners, the horses he gets hold of, I would like to think he's going to have a couple of winners, and they could be at a very, very good price. So having gone on for 5 minutes longer than I'd planned, I will be quiet. Hopefully you found something useful in that video. Hopefully I've said something that may spark an idea or you've just found interesting. And fingers crossed, Henry DeBromhead can have a stellar December with his maiden hurdlers, and it will be a very merry, profitable Betfair starting price Christmas for us all, for small, fun stakes, which is what it's all about. And if not, we'll open a bottle of wine or something or other, mulled wine maybe. And with that said, this is Josh saying thanks for watching and bye for now.